Quick question about that as well, because if, say, we're validating and other things that often come across it as well, where yes, people won't leave change sets comments. Sometimes I'll use a change set comment that's like relatively generalized. So maybe the project is about buildings, so I'll just write one time to say, okay, I'm adding buildings, modifying some footprints or deleting stuff, just so I don't like limit myself or incorrectly have to retype the change set comment every time for every upload. Is that an okay suggestion to some of these mappers, basically, so that there's not the, I don't know, I guess excuse for people to think that, oh, I have to like write a new change set every time and that's like extra effort or whatever. You can just tell them, write a good change set comment about what you're doing generally and, you know, apply that to all your uploads.
I really don't understand what you mean with the question.
So when you upload on, say, JOSM, you'll have when it detects that you're typing in the same thing, it will immediately like paste a previous change set comment from like a local cache or a history or something like that. So if I added the change set comment, I added buildings. When I go to upload again and I just type in the letter I, say if it was at the start, then it will recognize that and it will immediately paste I added buildings as another change set comment. So what I was basically saying is sometimes when I'm mapping in an area, it's a particular task, let's say it's just mapping buildings, I might write a generalized comment where I say I added some buildings, I modified some footprints, and I deleted some things that like weren't there in the imagery anymore. I compared it, checked it, and
yeah, but that is fine. I mean,
right.
you can upload 100 change sets with exactly the same comment, because probably you are doing the same thing. And sometimes, of course, you can, maybe in one of these change sets you have added let's say a river or something, and you forgot to put that you added a river. Okay, this is fine, because we all commit errors and we always forget things, and everyone, even if you are very, very experienced. But what is not very acceptable is that you go into, for example, into the tasking manager or whatever you do, or even not in the tasking manager, just normal users. There are normal users that they upload, I don't know, 100 or 200 or 300 change sets through 1 year without any comment at all. I mean, they even with the warning of the, hey, you have forgotten to add a change set comment, and still they ignore that and they upload the data without telling exactly what they are doing anytime. So this is what is not acceptable. But when there is good faith, of course, it's not a problem. And of course, I stressed you can add things that are meaningful only for you or for your group or for a group of people, like hashtags. But let's make sure that the people in general, when they see a change set of yours, they can know more or less what you have done, because this is like a good guide for everyone to to start knowing exactly what they have to look for. If you have spoken about the buildings, probably I will start looking what you have done with the buildings. They are correct, they are not correct, they are not well aligned, things like that.
Yeah.
But if you don't say anything, I don't know. Well, okay, I will know, but that takes much more time, because you have to download the data, reverb.
It saves time overall for everybody in the process.
Exactly.
Pawan makes a good point here as well. Is it okay? I guess this goes to the organized editing guidelines probably, but mentions the point of potentially adding in a change set comment into the standard like default comment that is applied for a particular project in Tasking Manager.
Well, if the default comment is okay, maybe that would be acceptable, but that's not very easy sometimes, because sometimes a Tasking Manager project covers a big area. In this big area, there are different towns. And sometimes in a project, you will map different things like rivers and buildings at the same time, or buildings and roads, or roads and rivers, for example. But in a particular task, maybe you have started to map rivers only. You have left the roads for afterwards, but at this moment you have to leave because you have to do something else. And then you okay, I will upload the data, but you didn't add any road. You added only rivers. So the default comment that would be adding rivers and roads to this area, whatever, would be wrong in this case because you didn't add roads.
Yeah.
But you know, if users are well aware that good change set comments are good for everyone, especially for people that are not involved in the project, they would probably check if the default comment is okay, and if it is not okay for them, they would change it. The problem is when you don't tell this to the people that is involved in a tasking manager project, for example, or an organized activity, and they will, all of them, they will add the same change set comment that is probably wrong, maybe because it's only hashtags, and then we have an issue. I hope.
And actually, sometimes large, now I'll say the majority, but a lot of tasking manager project, they are just they are made of many. The example you showed, Rafael, the hashtags, and they do not provide, even if, for example, they're just designed to map buildings, there is no information about the basic features that are actually edited, modified, or created through this project. It's a bit, yes. Even the tasking manager creator do not create that. But anytime, I mean, whatever the edits you made, it's always good to have to check what is the change sets you have. Generally, you have from JSM as a default, it will propose you the last one you used. You need to check if it's still fits with what you did, and add something else. Yes, sometimes I'm a bit horrified when I see that people that have been using exactly the same chain sets for months, whatever they did is just, and sometimes it's just edits or mapping. That's the most useless chain sets we can have is edits or mapping. Just one question is if I put baseline data, because actually it's a mix of, but I mean, generally road, a bit of building, etc. Is it acceptable? Or it's really better to describe every type of features, like you mentioned, highways, buildings, waterways, etc., rather than baseline data?
No, I think, let's say, suppose that I take one area in my hometown, for example, and I start to correct or to add or modify the streets here and there. But at the same time, and I forgot during my editing that I added or modified one shop, for example, and I put only modifying roads and streets. Okay, that's fine because sometimes you edit for let's say for 1 hour and you don't upload the data, or you simply forget and then you don't put it. Okay, the best would be to explain everything that you do, but sometimes if you did lots of things, maybe you will explain the most important. I mean, you don't have to be very stressed about the change set comments. The change set comments, they are just the guides for all of us to know more or less what the user has done and where.
Okay, I think we're good for the question regarding the change set comments. I answered also some question in the chat. So if you want, I think I was I tried to be right, of course. I tried to be, but I hope I was.
I can actually throw one out. So this goes back to a question I had earlier, where I had a case that somebody actually basically cited a source of Google Maps in their change set comment and said that they use that to inform their decision about building shapes. The standard thing that we've been talking about here is to first message the user, give them some time to reply, and then potentially message the data working group. The only question I have with regards to that, though, is in my thinking, surely that kind of information should be redacted, which only a member of the data working group can do. So I guess, yeah, you probably could still message the user just to let them know what's going on, so that they're not like too surprised, but or they understand why that change has been redacted. But I feel like you should just immediately message the data working group in that case.
Yeah, well, if you, I mean, you have found one user that is using or is maybe using, because you are not sure at all, maybe that he's using copyrighted data. In that case, the best thing you can do is to contact the data working group. But at the same time, you could already revert the data, because in the process of redacting data is quite it's not complicated, but I don't think it's important to mention how. But the first thing we have to do is to revert the data, and then we take the last but one version of the objects, and we redact them. You know, so if you revert the data, you are already
right. It's already on that process.
Yeah, you are saving us.
Because I was thinking that potentially if you reverted it, then it would be harder to find the object, or you'd have to dig through the history or other things like that, and it would impede the process of redacting potentially. But okay, that's good to know that actually it's.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you revert the data, the majority of data consumers, they won't see the data anymore. But the data is actually in the database. So somebody who has enough experience or enough knowledge, they will access this data. And we because they are copyrighted data, we could get a warning from Google or from the owner of the data. So we have to remove the data completely from the database, and that's why we have to redact the data afterwards. But yeah, one thing that you can do already is to revert the data, if you to send a message to the user, and at the same time wait for an answer, maybe for 1 or 2 days. And if you don't get an answer, then you can ask the data working group. Maybe in these cases also you can, you can solve the issue with the user. Maybe he was using the data because he didn't know that he couldn't use it. And afterwards you can just contact the data working group, not to solve the issue with this user because you have solved it yourself, but for the data working group to redact the data. And I can tell you of one example that I did once with boundaries inside Burkina Faso that I found that they were taken from the Institut Géographique National Burkina Faso. And the guy who did that, he didn't know that he couldn't do that. He did it with the best purpose. So I dealt with him that, I reverted the data, and then once I had the change sets numbers, I sent it to the data working group. I wasn't part of the data working group that time. So they just reverted the data. It was quite easy.
Okay. And for normal people, if you like, or contributors, users of OSM, unless you like see that there's, well, I suppose you can't really know unless you dig into like the back end and just look at the raw data itself that data has necessarily been taken from the source. Because like I say, in this instance, somebody has just commented and they've said, I've used this source for the data. But in other cases, you probably just wouldn't know. and you have to basically wait for somebody else, like you said, Google or somebody, to get in touch to tell you that they think they have that some of their data is on the OSM database.
Well, as the community grows more and more, it's quite I mean, we find this let's say illegal data quite more easily, faster. I don't say that all the data in the OpenStreetMap has come from legal sources. There could be some data that is in somewhere in the database that is not doesn't have the permission to be there. But in general, the most important is that when we see this, we take it very seriously. And if for any reason, I don't remember even any case that Google or Apple or other companies who have their own data complain to us. But I say that I don't remember, but maybe that happens sometimes. But you know, like in Wikipedia, let's say in Wikipedia, lots of people add copyrighted data all the time, everywhere. But as soon as we find out that there is copyrighted data, the people that have the possibility, they will delete this data completely. So with OpenStreetMap, it's the same. It's the same.
Okay. And then just one final question from me, I think, for now. When you redact an object, so like a building, does that wipe the entire history or just the most recent version of it?
One redacted object will be in the history, but you cannot access it. I mean, it will be, there will be a note in the history that version 3 or version 4 from the object was redacted. Let me, because it's difficult now for me to find that. If I put this note number 1, I think there was a reduction. So if I go to the I will try to find one redacted object. I think at the beginning, maybe I'm not sure. Deleted. You see, the version 2. You see, this is the node number 1, the first node in history of OpenStreetMap. Okay, the first version is that, but the second version, for any reason, was redacted. You see, and you can see redaction 1 for details. It was redacted by this user that is a member of the data working group that maybe you know, by some of you know, he's Frederick Ram. You see, so what you see is version 1, version 3, version 4, version 5, but the version 2, there is a note here. Version 2 of this cannot be shown as it has been redacted. So this is what I would tell you, answering with your question.
Yeah, that does. Thank you.
This is what you get. You get it in the history, but not exactly. You get just a note.
And technically, there is a specific tag because you told us that it remained in the OSM database. One deleted object is only tagged with the visibility equal false, and doesn't appear in the. You cannot see it in the data when you download it. Is that different with the redaction? Because you told us it's still somewhere in the database, but you can people from members of the TWG, you can still access it.
Yeah, when you delete an object, there is a metadata that is called visible and is deleted, something like that. Let's say, let me open just let's see the data, how it is. I don't like this area. Let's go to We'll just look for something that is only one object. So let's take this tree here. So it's not only an object. What is this? Stop share? No. No. Because I don't. Let me put it like that. We'll just take a tree. Okay. And now I will save it. So I will save it in my, no, not in a home. Yeah, we'll save it like that, and I will see tree.osm. So now we open the tree. You see, this is the data of the tree. It will say some things about the version of the coding and blah, blah, blah. And then you have here the node. So it says, what is the ID of this tree? This is the node ID, the timestamp. It was created in 2013. The user ID, it was me who created the tree. And then the visible true. Okay. But what happens if I delete the tree? Let's see. Now I will delete this tree. I'm not going to delete it completely, but we'll just, and I will save this data again, and I will put tree deleted. So now I will open the tree deleted. Was here. I have so many things here. Tree deleted. So you see, the action is to delete. I think, well, I'm not doing this completely well because I would have to upload the data, and I don't want to delete this tree. But if you open again the data for this area, I mean, you won't see anything because Joseph will ignore the deleted data. But this is the action that we'll make with the tree. I will have to, to look for a node that has been deleted. And then with unDelete object, we could see what is the visible. Probably it's visible false. See? So this is the only thing that in general, I don't want to, to confuse you. What we do internally with deleted data is just to change a tag, metadata tag of the node, or the way or the relation, and the object that we are deleting. And this is all what we do. But the object is still there with in this case with a metadata that says that it has been deleted, but it's still there. But when we redact the data, you cannot access it from with whatever you do. You won't find it anymore. It's impossible. And what I had told you is that it is, when you redact an object, it is still in the database, but not in the database that we access normally. I mean, the planet. It's out of the planet. It's somewhere, just in case the data working group needs to recover that data for any reason. But as far as I know, normally I don't remember any case of reduction that that went wrong and we had to unredact data or something. And this is something that I am not an expert anyway, because I have never had the need to deal with redacted objects already. I mean, one thing is to redact objects, another thing would be to unredact objects. But this is something that would be something that I don't know how to do myself. but the other data working group users, members would do it if needed. But the important thing is that the planet OSM is the full database of objects that includes deleted objects. But the redacted objects, they are not in the planet. So for all of us, as normal users, they are objects that have disappeared completely.
Okay, I mean, it's out of the planet. Okay.
Yeah, but one thing that, because I'm not telling the truth completely. I mean, even the object is not dead completely. As you have seen, for example, the version, the node number 1, that I have seen that the version 2 has been redacted, but you can access the version 3, the version 1, the version 4. You don't delete the object completely, you delete the version of the object. So this is something that I didn't explain well. Okay. Because that version of the object, let's say that we have a shop and we make different versions of the shop. First, somebody creates the shop and gives the name of the shop and the type of the shop. Then another one adds information about the internet access. Then it comes another one and says if it is dispensing or not, because it's a pharmacy. And then there comes someone that puts some private data or some copyrighted data. And then after this one, another one adds good data like a telephone number or whatever. So the version number 4 of this shop should be redacted. So we redact the version number 4, but versions number 5, 6, 7, 8 would be fine. This is what is redacting. We redact versions of objects, not the objects completely.
In the case of, for example, an import of data from totally copyrighted, so if there is just one import and one version, if you redacted this version 1 should be okay. But for example, it's imported and there is a second version because there's a modification. So if you want it to totally disappear, you would need to redact the 2 versions or the X versions of these objects.
We would need to redact the versions that have wrong, that have been copyrighted.
Okay, but that can be all the versions actually from for some objects. From the beginning, they were made. For example, the footprints are actually copyrighted or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Is there anything you would like also to tell us, Rafael? Because we are running short on time.
No, I think generally speaking, this is what we do. I mean, we do things that we complement what the community should do. But in general, if I have to give an advice, is just try to solve issues yourself. I mean, let's try the local communities, the local groups, and users among themselves with good tone and with good communication to deal with the problems, because the majority of the problems, they are dealt with by the users themselves. And just in case you have a problem with a user, please contact the local community first of all, other groups that are involved in the area, and only when the thing goes very wrong and you don't have any other possibility. I mean, a user, for example, that is doing very bad things or vandalism and he is not answering or whatever, then in this case you don't have any other possibility than contacting the data working group, because you have to block this user, and blocking the user is only something that only data working group can do.
Yeah. Do you have some links you would like also to share?
Yeah, I will put them in the chat.
The chat. If you can send me also your document, so I will insert it in the course document.
I will just copy. You have some. if you need something, you can contact me. So this goes in the chat. Well, I think, well, just copy this and paste it in your own files.
Okay.
Yeah, bit of a question to save harm in this case. Would you ever consider reverting as part of a project some data if, I don't know, a lot of buildings, for example, were mapped incorrectly in a task area? There are recent additions as part of that project, and you feel that perhaps it might be easier for anybody else coming and contributing to that area might find it easier, especially on something like ID editor as well, where you can't replace geometry, to add buildings to the task area?
I think I never reverted chances that were not mine, because as I said, I made, for example, a mistake by with octagonizing a long way, something like that, and I saw that I made the mistake after the upload, and after the session was over, and I could not actually undelete my last actions. I don't remember having, because I never met direct vandalism that I should have that could have corrected, and the rest is I mean the DWG process mostly. And sometimes to time you see something that wrong per se, but it's a few objects, it's just editing them. I would say because it was made by beginners, or it was outdated or things like that. So no, I don't use the the reverter very frequently. There's really a few times so far in my life. But yes, for sure, if I was part of the data working group, I would use it more. But in a project, almost never actually.
All right, thanks.
But the idea was for you, as it was a validation training, to see all, I mean, all the process, even the ones, I mean, the most, the rarest one, when you want, you need to validate the data, and you're facing things that are actually critical in terms of quality, but it's not directly you that will intervene. You will actually need to interact with the WG. If it's really important to know how to do it. Okay.
I agree. Otherwise,
so
we'll get stuck.
I think, Raphael, we can thank you again for your presentation. Really, thank you for to have include that in your agenda. It was not easy for you this week, and I will still continue with the trainees online regarding the evaluation process, and I mean some hints about as they have to validate to get a final certificate for the one that want to have it. So
okay, it was a pleasure. Yeah, it was a pleasure to be here, and I hope you will learn a lot of things.
Yes,
that will be.
It's over now. It was you were the final guest and the final intervention. Okay. I mean, it's just now. I mean, I will close and explaining again. I mean, how to validate and how we will interact during the evaluation process.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Rafa.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah, and of course, thanks to you as well, Stefan, for putting all these on, coming out.
So regarding the evaluation process, now that the training is done, and for some of you that apply to what was called at the beginning the UN Mappers Validator training team, but I renamed it candidate because it will be part of the whole process of how to become part of the UN Mappers Validator team. So this is something I can actually show you directly. Let me reshare my screen. This is this one, I think. And I'll go to the tasking manager up, and I will connect. Okay, with the UN Mappers account. I don't know, it's every time it comes back to French. English. So I explain again once for all the evaluation process. You need to send me an email or a message on Discord with your username, and I will check if you have already enough experience in OpenStreetMap to become a validator. I mean, not even the UN mappers. If you have only a few mapping days, you're still a beginner, and you still actually need to grow your mapping experience before validating what other people do. Okay, so the one that are I mean experienced enough, I put them in this team. Okay. And I will evaluate what you did regarding the project. If I go into the project that are accessible for these specific team members. Okay, that's there's one. Maybe I will need to add more projects. Some this one is totally validated. There's one are not, and there's one are still actually under the especially this one, and it's just 50 or 60% map. Okay, so and I will evaluate your edits regarding the waterways, land cover, land use, no, the places, and the roads. Mostly that's the big three. The big three biggest features we have to map. Okay, and then if you did it correctly, I will check if you used. So let me just make a feedback. Let's see on this one. This one is the roads. Okay, to contribute. So I will basically so everything is done, and I will check the contributions. And for example, so Syria is or yeah, this one is complicated because actually this is our two interns, and they mostly did the thing. But yeah, that's my colleague Raquel. This maybe okay. Arnold is part of the training, and he made these 6 tasks. Okay, for me the number of tasks is actually doesn't count. It's more the areas. Okay, this one is 4, but it's the same size. I need actually to have an area, at least one task, and inside this task, data that if it's totally empty, I cannot check your evaluation skills. And also one thing that can be complicated for you if you find a task and that was superbly mapped, and there is nothing to actually modify, because I will check your own edits, what you improved in the existing data. That will show me that you actually have good validation skills because you improve the quality of the data of course, if you had the bad luck to validate someone that is a very, very good mapper and did not let any mistake out of his or her side, that will be complicated. But for sure, there's almost every time things to validate, and considering in the workflow, the workflow guide, there's kind of a very complete, consolidated workflow with many steps, and we go very deep into the quality if we want. So I think there should be some ways to validate, even if you find data that was actually really well mapped. Okay, so for example, here I can evaluate, I think from the array at least, I need to check if there is some, it was not totally in the forest, etc. But that should be enough to evaluate his work. The same for Thomas, etc. So I'm not sure Rabina is part of the training. Just one task, okay, but I need to, it depends on what is on the task, okay? But at least I expect one task for sure, because otherwise I will not even see it. In case you would tell me I never finished one task, but I picked many of them, and actually within this task I improved many things. Okay, you send me an email about that. But on my side, I will check the contribution from the tasking manager first. If it should give me the information I need to directly check the edits. I found the edits made by the validators. Okay. Back to the team. So it's the same for waterways. I think regarding the waterways that are in Libya, there is still yes, quite a lot to validate. So you can do it. So you see as Thomas, Samalia, NG, for example, that may be enough. Okay, but as I said, I need to find something to find some edits from you that you improve the waterways on that task. So it's better if you have a larger area. I'll find more things. Okay, and I may make some feedback. So if you're on Discord, I will certainly use a direct message on Discord to provide you some feedback that can also include, please, actually you forgot that, or you made a mistake when you edited the waterway, or we made a confusion between, I don't know, fords and culverts, for example, as we are dealing with waterways here. And I may ask you to improve your task or things like that. Okay, that may happen. And as I said, I will check mostly road, waterways, and the combination of residential area and places. Is there any question about that? Let me check. I have a lot of messages today. So, yes, for example, Raquel told that she contributed a lot really in the project of waterways. So yes, I need you to have a balance, not to focus on one specific feature, but also do some validate on highways and validate on the residential areas and places. Learning up scores. There's no quizzes, nothing like that in the this advanced course. So after this last revision, you have to contribute to validation. You want a certificate? Yes, that's a good question. Please do that as soon as possible. First, for me, to avoid there's people that 6 months or sometimes 1 year after telling me, I have now the time to to edit for the evaluation process. Is still possible. Generally, I'm in other activity now. No, it's not possible. So please do it very quickly. And I would say this time you need to be more quicker than before. Basically, we have, as I am a consultant, have a contract until end of June, and we don't know because there are some changes within the UN. The UN world, and that is actually lacking of funds. So we don't know if we will actually continue to operate. I mean, the cross-sourcing team or maybe other people, etc. So yes, I'm sure on board until the end of June. After that, that's not sure. So I would really advise you to send me things this month or the beginning of next month, because if you send me that on say very last days of June, and I will actually, that will actually be my last week, that may be complicated. After shall we validate the project after that message you on Discord? Yes, that would be a good process. So please tell me when you think you're ready, that you were validated, I mean, on 3 different projects, one on roads, one on high waterways, and one on places and residential land use, so that I can dig on it rather than I will otherwise lose time to see that, okay, he or she did validate on 2 projects, but not on the 3rd one, etc. Is this any condition regarding the minimum number of tile for each project? It's not a number of tile. It really depends on the data, because as I said, I will open the task you made, but if there was in the forest, or it was, I mean, the data didn't need to be validated because it was super well mapped, I cannot check your validation skills. So it will depend actually of you, that you modified things that were wrong. So I will check your edits, not the number of tiles, basically. And but if you tell me, for example, if you tell there is not many edits, but I see that actually things should have been more validated. I mean, the validation would have required more edits. That's not a good sign. I would tell you, you did not actually really validate this tag. There's still plenty of things to improve. So you need to pick up tasks where there's still things to validate, and make all the edits and pass the whole process, the validation workflow. I will test all for example, the checks, and sometimes the complicated search queries. I will certainly use them to see if there is still things that appear that should not, because they should be already corrected if it was totally validated.
Cool. Any possibility of anyone new joining the validated candidates team and contributing to that validation
Yeah,
process?
sure. So yeah, again, you just need to send me a message sharing your username. I will check your OSM experience. We want people that have thousands of edits and many days of mapping to be validators. Okay. I mean, for this training, as the other one I organize, I do not make any selection. I let everyone to join, and part of the audience, they are actually very beginner mappers. I don't, my colleague and I, we don't think it's time for them to become validators, but it was an opportunity for them to know how to validate. Okay. But they still have to map, to experience the mapping before validating, editing the edits of people that may actually more experienced than them. So if you send me your username and you have already this OSM experience, you will be part of that team, and this team, and when you are part of it, you can access the validation process of this project. Maybe others, if we, for example, if we need to let you validate, for example, the project regarding roads, because I think this one is already done. Okay. So one team can access this for the validation. Okay. And the full process, actually, you can see it's by request, so anyone can actually request to as a candidate for UN Mapper validation. So we in the same process after the training for anyone from the OSM community would request to be part of this candidate group. We will evaluate them if they are super skilled, etc. We have people with multi-million edits history. They may be directly involved in the validator group teams. Sorry, it's teams. You can see there is one for the topographic information. There's more one for the building, because we have some people that are experienced in building, but only buildings. So they would be in this one. You can see it's only by invite now. Okay. And yeah, and that's it. Oh, and if they are not skilled enough, as I said, the future, the OSM contributor, they would, as you, the trainees, they would be asked to show us that they are that, for example, they process the course online, and they validate over a few projects we share with them. That would be on this kind of evaluation of their capacity, and if this is good, they will be part of these final teams that actually they can. When you're in the team, you can validate any of our project, not the one we just allow for specific people under evaluation.
Is that all right over email?
Okay.
To send the OSM username?
I have a last question. That I did 0 tab is 2, it's okay. So I need to validate 2 for the certification. So it's really better if you validated the task and marked it as validated, because I can find it easily. Otherwise, if you, in this case, you can tell me, but for sure I validated many things in that project, and I can make a check on the whole area.
We'll actually give a heads up here from the previous session. If that's the task with the waterways, then that might have something to do with the global reversion to, or like marking tasks as needing more mapping, and then allowing people to validate that area again.
And regarding the number of the project, if there are no more things to validate, and there's still people that need to access this kind of project, I will see with my colleagues the one we can share. Okay. Any other question?
Don't think so. Not from me, I don't think.
So,
but thank you very much for putting these on.
Thank you very much, all. Once again, if you want for us to continue to interact, there is the Discord channel that is made for that. So, and if you send me an email, please send me an email not responding to the big one that I sent to all of you, because I can totally miss it in the thread. So create a new one. Okay. People that told me, oh, yeah, I sent you an email 1 month ago, but yeah, it was totally hidden in the MS Outlook is not very good for that, in my opinion. So it's better to create a new thread for this. Okay. So it was really my pleasure to have you all these different sessions. I hope it was interesting for you. I may also send something for kind of an evaluation. I would like you to send me some feedback. I may anonymize that if you want to talk freely. In the sense, that was really my first time I was doing this validation training. Was just after having created the content. So any feedback would be interesting for me. And I hope we'll continue
content for the content as well.
It can be also for the content, yeah, of course, and for the course itself. I mean the online one. Okay. So have a good week and good weekend, and hard work for those who want to validate and get a final certificate. And anything, you can send me an email or message on Discord.
All right, and all the best to you in June as well.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Same for you.
See you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.